Welcome to Victini News. This is your host, Cuban. After 8 weeks of battles, we have finally reached the playoff season. And with it, we have our 8 coaches who will be fighting over the Season 8 championship title. But who made it? And who barely missed out? Let's check out our Week 8 results. Starting our recap, we are looking at the Dunsparce United against the Oslo Okodokis. Both teams were already locked in playoffs, so this was a less serious match, where both coaches tried a little bit of different things. FE Masters Magneton tried to be a hero by defeating the Melmetal from Viking, but it could not beat the Melmetal. And as an answer, Cryogonal, who in a lot of people's minds is usually used as a spinner but doesn't really get the job done, comes in, saw that the Magneton crit and said, what you can do, I can do twice. And crit 2 times in a row, taking out Melmetal and an Orbital. But not before the Orbital set up Trick Room. And then we saw the secret weapon, Clefable. You wonder what the Clefable did? It drummed on his belly, revealing Belly Drum and sweeping all the remaining Pokemons from FE Master, giving Viking a 4-0 victory. In our second match, we had the New York Hydreigons taking on the Hyderabad Honchcrows. And here we saw Supreme Omega trying something different with double setup Gliscor, trying to set up and potentially sweep. But as we have seen over the last few weeks, Arsene always has an answer, and his answer was Mega Venusaur, which perfectly countered the double setup Gliscor. And Supreme's misfortune wouldn't stop there. A huge earthquake crit from the Conkeldurr from Arsene took out his Goldengo, which according to Calx would have survived, preventing it from setting up Memento and potentially setting up a Victini sweep, which was the Supreme's tactic. And in the end, with both the Goldengo and the Gliscor dead, the whole tactic that Supreme had fell apart. And even though Victini managed to get a single kill on the Tinglu, the game was over and Arsene wins his final Week 8 match with a 5-0 scoreline. In our third match, we have Alicalcos' Boom Burst Berghammen taking on Dracion's Carolina Incineroars. This match was for a potential spot in playoffs, as Alicalcos needed a 3-0 victory and Dracion needed a 5-0 or higher victory. Early on in the match, we saw Alicalcos bring out his first tactic, double Toxic on Jirachi and Rotom Wash. Thankfully for Dracion, he was prepared and brought Aromatherapy on Slurpuff to counter this tactic. With Alicalcos trying to spread the status, he managed to do it, but he didn't really do any damage, while Dracion slowly damaged Alicalcos' Pokemons. And then a huge prediction on a Rotom Wash switch-in. The Arboliva from Dracion used Giga Drain and took it out. This was followed up by Jirachi using Healing Wish, which removed both Toxic users in the span of 2 turns, without a single Pokemon from Dracion being poisoned. Then we saw that Dracion had to let his Slowbro go against the Volcanion from Alicalcos, so he could switch in a full HP Nidoking, using its Pacho Berry to take the hit from the Volcanion, lowering the HP from the Volcanion enough that any attack could defeat it. Seeing how his Nidoking was already low, he predicted that Alicalcos would go for Flame Charge and switched in his Gouging Fire. The Gouging Warrior took the hit and the follow-up hit from the Volcanion and then used Psychic Fangs to defeat the Volcanion, Alicalcos' biggest threat. But here is where Drakion made a huge mistake. After Volcanion was defeated, Alicalcos switched in Mismagius. Drakion answered with his own switch in of Arboliva, which at that point was Terra of Fire. The power gem from the Mismagius did huge damage, but the Arboliva healed against it with Giga Drain. And thanks to Seed Sower in the grassy terrain, it got a little bit more healing as well. Drakion switched out his Arboliva and sacked Nidoking, Thundurus, and Slurpuff without doing a single bit of damage to the Mismagius, ending up with the same situation as it was before, Mismagius against Arboliva. Arboliva took the kill in the end, thanks to Giga Drains, and when Roaring Moon came in, it was Alicalcos' turn to do a single misplay, which was using Earthquake while Grassy Terrain was still active. The Arboliva survived, and it managed to take both the Roaring Moon and the Quagsire, which was Alicalcos' last Pokemon, giving Drakion the 2-0 victory. This misplay has cost Drakion the playoff spot. In the fourth match, we had the Oregon State Bidoofs from Green Purple Boy taking on the Scarlet Knights from Pandemonium. Green Purple Boy's team was already out of playoff contention, and Pandemonium's team needed a miracle. And in the beginning, it looked like a miracle could truly happen, as the Abomasnow managed to survive on 2% HP to set up an Aurora Veil. And thanks to using Trick Room to put his slow sweepers into a perfect situation, Mega Morvile managed to get 2 kills, even though it was confused. With Trick Room ending, the fast and high damage Pokemon from Green Purple Boy came in, and Kilovatral managed to get 2 kills on the Titan and Abomasnow, with the Titan damaging itself thanks to Belly Drum. But as soon as Trick Room was set up again, Iron Hands comes in and takes out Sneasler and Hooper Unbound. Having Dusclops as his switch in after the Trick Room always ended, Pandemonium managed to use this to his advantage to take a 3-0 victory. Following this match, we had the Tennessee Titans taking on the Ottawa Ordinaries. Chumama was still looking for his first win of the season, while Lack of Interest needed this win to qualify for playoffs. And Lack had the perfect start. Hiding his Zoroark as the Ursaluna, he managed to get a quick KO on the Celesteela, with only taking U-turn damage. Then he got a kill on the circuitry with his real Ursaluna before his Beware died to Kofagrigas, who was starting to set up with iron defenses. Thanks to a Will-O-Wisp on the Altaria, it managed to win the 1v1 against the Kofagrigas. Malueta then came in front of the Hariyama, who was belly drumming. Having equipped a key berry, it took the Bullet Punch before it took out the Hariyama with Psyshock. The Tapu Koko then came in and got a crit on the Malueta, but it barely survived, giving it the chance to damage the Tapu Koko enough that the Terapagos can set up with Rapid Spin and win the match with a 4-0 victory for Lack of Interest. This leads us to our match of the week. CB Fries with his New York Low Kicks taking on the Fighting Lando T's from Red Sox Alex. This was a playoffs deciding game. The winner is in, the loser's out. And CB Fries got a huge early kill against the Mega Gardevoir, taking it out before it could do anything. And over the match, the glaring weakness from Red Sox Alex's team was exposed, as Mega Alakazam with Dazzling Gleam and Psychic could basically take out the whole team, which led to Alex having to sack Mandibuzz and take huge damage on his Darkrai to even take out this Alakazam. But this wasn't the only threat on CB Fraser's team, as he brought in Iron Moth, and thanks to booster energy speed, it outsped the Darkrai, getting a boost from Fiery Dance. And it wouldn't stop there, taking out the Maushold as well before the Slitherwing had to sacrifice most of its HP to get rid of the second threat. And by the time these two Pokemons were dealt with, Alex was left with a 19% Poison Slitherwing and a 20% Toxapex. The Toxapex was fighting hard, managing to 1v1 the Gligar, which lost its Eviolite earlier in the match. But in the end, CB Fraser's Sylveon ended the match with 2 Psyshocks for a 3-0 victory for CB Fraser. Our 7th match, the Legendary Landorus against the Lab Squad, ended up in a forfeit victory for the Legendary Landorus from Cake, as Admiral, the coach from the NAP squad, could not make time this week to play his game, so he sadly had to forfeit his match. And in our final match, we have the Lively Town Licky Licky taking on the ABBs. The Licky Lickies got a very good start into the match, doing some decent damage on Heatran, Hydrapple and Primarina, only losing Sneasel, but also taking huge damage on Gobalion thanks to a double damage Fickle Beam. This is all what Nihilego needed. Thanks to its Grass Terra resisting the Palafin, it used Meteor Beam and repeated what it did last week, taking on the final 4 members as the Aegislash took out Cyclizar beforehand to give Glitchy Mix a huge 6-0 victory, ending his season with 2 wins and a plus 11 differential. What a way to end the season. What this result and all the others did to the ranking and the playoffs? Well, let's reveal our playoff contestants. And here we have them. Advancing to the playoffs, we have Grandmaster Cake with the Legendary Landorus, Arson with the Hyderabad Hunchcrows, Effimaster with the Dunsparce United, Viking with the Oslo Doggies, CB Fries with the New York Low-Kicks, Lack of Interest with the Ottawa Ordinaries, Admiral with the Nap Squad, and Supreme Omega with the New York Hydreigons. And we sadly say goodbye to Banks' Lively Town Licky Licky, Dracion's Carolina Incineroars, Pandemonium's Scarlet Knights, Glitchy Mix's ABBs, Red Sox Alex's Fighting Lando T's, Alicalcos' Boom Burst Bergkamen, Green Purple Boys Oregon State Blues, and Jumama's Tennessee's the Titans. But looking at the rankings, could have been anyone, as 5th place CB Fries and 11th place Pandemonium had the same score, just different differential. And this is where we see how even teams who are already eliminated, like Glitchy Mix, can have huge impact into the playoffs, as winning 5-0 against Drakion and 6-0 against Bang eliminated both of them from playoff contention. And finally, I want to congratulate Grandmaster Cake for reaching 1st place in the overall season. Before we take a closer look at the playoffs, we have some awards to give out. Starting with Nickname of the Week. This week's winner is Ukoku Okoku, the Beware of Lack of Interest. Similar to the anime where this song is from, it was a rough situation at the beginning of the season, but he and his team kept moving forward, making slight adjustments like adding Mega Lopunny to the team, all to reach the first destination of their endless journey, playoffs. And Beware had a massive part in reaching this goal. Truly a perfect name for himself and his team's season so far. For favorite set of the week, I think for people who saw it live, it was very obvious who would win. Vikings Clefable with Belly Drum. Both teams brought some less serious teams, but that doesn't take away from what happened. The Clefable used Belly Drum and decimated FE Masters team, giving Viking the win. And honestly, this might be one of my favorite sets of this season. But I want to give out one more award, while we still have all 8 coaches with us. Coach of the season. Without this coach, I don't think this season would have been this great. They showed sportsmanship and respect no matter the outcome. Every single match this coach was a part of was great to watch as a third party. Which is why I want to congratulate everyone to Coach of the Season. It was a real honor to have all of you take part in the best division of the VDL. If I was given the opportunity to pick 16 coaches for this season, I would have picked all 16 of you. This time without having to replace someone during draft to get Pandemonium in right away. So huge thank you from the mod team for participating in this season, making it probably one of my favorite seasons as a mod so far. And hopefully I can see you guys in future seasons in the VDL, be it Victini or maybe a different division. Going back to some serious business, we have the playoff schedule. We have Legendary Landers taking on the Ottawa Ordinaries. Will lack of interest journey continue, or will the favorite, Cake, stop them in its tracks? Then we have the Hyderabad Hunchcrows taking on the Nab Squad. This match is a 50-50 for me. Both teams and both coaches are incredibly good. And I can't tell you who will win this match, but whoever comes out will have a lot of momentum to potentially take the championship crown. Then we have the Dunsparce United against the New York Hydreigons. FE Master has slowly proven himself to be a top contender in the Victini division. And Supreme Omega can always be there for some surprises. We have seen it over the last few seasons where a top contender got knocked out by a lower seeded team. And in our final match we have the Oslo Okodokis from Viking and the New York Low Kicks from CB Fries. Viking comes in here as a favorite as he's been on a 4-game winning streak. Can he make it 5, or will the CB Fries knock him out in round 1? I think all of these matches are gonna be interesting to see, and I wouldn't bet a penny on any of these outcomes. Who will win? Who will lose? We will find out during this week. And as a final thing, before we end this week's episode, I just want to inform you all about the plans for Victini News. Victini News will go on until the end of finals. So we're going to have the finals, and then the week after on Wednesday I'll probably do another Victini News covering the finals and maybe some other things. Additionally, there will be more Anon Victini News as we are still missing the 6th member, and I have an idea to spice it up a little bit. but you will have to see. Obviously, we still have some awards to give out with the pick'ems and the MVP rankings, as the season is now officially over. Pick'ems will continue, and the MVP rankings are over. So whatever kills are done during playoffs will not count towards those rankings. Obviously, if you have access to the doc, you already know who won, but I will still take my time to just go over everyone in a little bit, just to like talk a little bit. As always, I will cover the playoffs, and we have some of the usual things that maybe like set of the week or nickname of the week, depending on if there are any nicknames, as week 8 wasn't that many nicknames either. Or maybe I'll think of something else. We'll see. But this is enough of me talking to you guys. Thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of the week. And as always, to all of our playoff contenders, good luck in your matches and happy cooking. This was Cuban. Goodbye.